Before we get started, I thought it would be fun to share my top 3 WTF moments from attending Korean's wedding. Number 3, coming out of the wedding room, I saw that the outside setup had already been replaced with pictures and memorabilia of the next couple. I was perplexed, thinking, can't they just wait for everyone to come out before they start doing their cleanup? They took efficiency to the next level. It was tacky. Number 2, entering the dining area only to hear a staff tell us that we had about an hour to eat at the buffet before exiting so that the next wedding party could enter. And at number 1, it was realizing that the wedding decor with all the dining tables was completely staged and that we had to go to a different floor to eat lunch. Hi lovely people, welcome to my channel where I love to talk about personal development, inner work, and from time to time talk about things related to my life in Korea. I have spent almost 4 years in Seoul, and next weekend I will be attending my 5th wedding in this country. To say that experiencing Korean wedding culture was a shock is an understatement. For those of you who are just curious or will attend a Korean wedding in Korea soon, I want to give you a crash course on Korean weddings based on my experience. So let's get started. As I mentioned, I went to 4 weddings in this country. The 5th one is happening next weekend. I'm very excited. So based on the wedding invitation standards of where I come from, I wouldn't have gotten an invitation in the first place. What I mean is that if my relationships with the 5 people who invited me were transposed to a city in the US, France, or Central Africa, I would not have been invited to these people's wedding. Why? Because in these countries, a wedding is a very expensive, important, big deal. People are losing sleep over the guest list, trying to cut costs and people as much as possible. In Korea, people seem to try to fill up their wedding venues with guests, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. We'll come back to that later. So, who invited me to their weddings? One coworker, one guy from my language exchange group, one friend I met through another friend, one girl I attended sogang with who married a Korean guy, and one girl from my 𝗃𝗏𝗧𝗏 dancing community. Let me know in the comment section, but where I'm from, you don't invite acquaintances to weddings, you invite family and close friends. So for me, that was the first shock. With that said, I appreciate that out of all the acquaintances they could have chosen, they picked me. I got my very first wedding invitation at work. A coworker gave everyone in the office an invitation letter. It was so cute and contained all the information needed to attend the wedding. All the invitations I got after that were digital ones. First, people would contact me and break the news of them, getting married and ask me about my availability. Then I would get the invitation sent via Kakao. It takes you to a website where you see beautiful pictures of the couple. The pictures usually, I would say, match the essence of the couple. The dancers, for example, had a dance-related photo shoot, and the girl I went to sogang with had this princess-type photo shoot matching her sweet and feminine vibe. You can tell people put a lot of thought and efforts into those pictures. Also included in the invitations are their names, the venue's name and location, time and date, a little message from the couple, and a mention of the parents who are basically giving away their children, and bank account information. More on that next. Not everyone invite their coworkers though. Someone else in the office got married and she announced it, and we all received a text notification with details but no venue or address, and I was confused. So it turns out she just wanted a very small intimate wedding, and what we received wasn't an invitation, just an announcement. So yes, if you want, you can be very selective about who you invite. In Central Africa, monetary contributions towards wedding planning are preferred. In the US, buying things from a registry is preferred. In France, monetary contributions to the honeymoon are preferred. In Korea, cold, hard cash is the only way to go. As a foreigner invited to a Korean wedding, you might wonder, well, how much money should I give? I've heard of a scale. Every time I ask, this is the feedback that I get. If the person is an acquaintance from, let's say, high school or isn't in steady contact with you, give them between 30 to 50,000 Korean won. If it's a friend you see often, 100 would do. If it's a close friend, you should give more based on what you can afford. I took that into consideration and I basically doubled the amount. The idea of giving someone 30 to 50,000 Korean won on their wedding day sounded so stingy and disrespectful, but that is my perspective and my perception. So this is how I proceeded. The acquaintances, the coworker, the language exchange guy, and the kizomba girl all got 100 each. The girl I went to Sogang with and my friend got 200 and 250. Now, be careful with your generosity. Sometimes giving way more than the person expects from you can result in a bit of a cute awkwardness if the person does not know how to fully receive. It is important to know how to receive, ladies, okay? They might feel the need to repay you. I got a thank you for coming to my wedding note with a Starbucks gift card worth 50,000 Korean won. And I don't even care about Starbucks. And all I thought was, girl, this money was yours to keep. Why send some of it back? But on the other hand, you know, if you don't have a lot of disposable income, then make sure to give enough to at least cover the food you will be eating at the ceremony. Just saying. Now, how do you go about giving the money? You will see the person's name and bank account on the invitation, so you can make a transfer, a bank transfer. But I have always brought the cash and handed it over at the wedding venue. I don't need to bring an envelope. What you would do is they will provide one for you. You put the cash in, you put your name, and you're good to go. There would be 2 counters to hand in the money, the bride and the groom sections. Parents get to invite people and they keep whatever cash these guests will offer, and the bride and the groom will keep the cash that they get from their guests. I showed up at my very first wedding in a long, flowy yellow dress, as I would at any summer wedding held in the afternoon. And again, based on my standards and what I knew to be the way to go about it. So I looked colorful and fabulous. Then I got there and everyone looked like they were going to a funeral or work or something. I clearly did not get the memo, so let me help you avoid standing out like a sore thumb, besides the fact that as a foreigner, you will be noticed regardless. So people do not dress to impress when going to weddings here. Your safest bet is to dress in business casual attire. I've seen many pairs of pants with like tucked in tops or a skirt with a tucked in top, or people wearing plain simple dresses. Trust and believe that I toned it down for the other weddings, but I still try to, you know, incorporate a little bit of color here and there. Weddings usually happen in the early afternoon and the whole experience lasts 2 hours at most. 50 minutes for the ceremony and 1 hour for lunch. Yeah, so let me walk you through the user experience of attending a Korean wedding. All the weddings I attended took place in what I would call a wedding center, which varies in size, amenities, level of luxury, etc. When you arrive, make sure you attend the right wedding party because other weddings will be, taking place at the same time in different rooms. The best way to find your wedding party is to look at the names and the pictures displayed. In a worst case scenario, show the invitation and ask the staff. At the entrance of the wedding room, there will be 1 or 2 counters, one designated for the groom's guest and the other for the bride's. That's where you go and hand your cash gift in an envelope and sign your name. You can then proceed to the adjacent waiting room where the bride will be and take pictures with her. Make sure you arrive early to take pictures with the bride, as this will most likely be your only chance. The ceremony will go so fast, you will barely get to see or interact with the person who invited you. If you are not the guest of the bride, that happened to me twice, it will depend. So my coworker did not take me to take pictures with his bride, which is understandable. As for my language exchange friend, I met his bride the day he actually proposed to her. So he brought me into the room and we all took pictures together. Now, Regarding the wedding room, I've encountered 3 types. The basic type, it has an altar, a runway, and chairs on both sides of the aisle. The standard has an altar, runway, and dining tables for guests on both sides of the aisle. However, the dining setup is just for show. No lunch is served. It's designed to look fancy without actually providing a meal. And then the premium setup is an altar, the runway, and dining tables on both sides of the aisle where guests actually have lunch. In this case, the seats are assigned with your name on it, and servers will provide a 3 or 4 course meal. As you can guess, the type of setup that you choose depends on how much money you're willing to spend. Once inside, the ceremony follows the very exact same structure. A maître de cérémonie or announcer orchestrates the event. The parents are present on each side with the mothers and some elders wearing, handbook. The groom enters first, followed by the bride. A cute video is played, vows are exchanged, and the couple greets each other's parents with a deep bow. Then it's picture time at the altar, first with the family, then with friends and acquaintances. Afterwards, the bride throws the bouquet. I kid you not when I tell you that at every single wedding, the photographer wants us, friends and family, to do the very exact same poses. Entertainment usually consists of a friend singing a song or a group of friends performing a choreography, sometimes joined by the groom. As for the food, 3 out of the 4 weddings had an all-you-can-eat buffet on a different floor. The wedding party goes there to enjoy the food while the married couple walks around and greets and thanks people for their presence. Lunch usually lasts about an hour and everybody goes home. Yeah, that's it. There's nothing more to see, nothing more to do. Just go on with your life now while the couple heads for their honeymoon. Before we move on to my top 3 best moment, let me distribute some awards. Wedding number 1 had the best decor. Wedding number 2 had the best food. Wedding number 3 had the most sentimental value, and wedding number 4 was the biggest and fanciest. I can't wait to see how wedding number 5 will pan out. To me, weddings in Korea, and I'm very sorry to say that, feel very impersonal. Once you've attended one wedding, you've attended them all. Nothing is surprising or unique about each ceremony. These venues operate like wedding factories, booking back-to-back ceremony under a very tight schedule. Staff members constantly run around directing the bride, the groom, the parents with precise instructions. It's a well-oiled machine where everything goes according to plan. Why? Because it's standardized. The downside is that it leaves no room for improvisation or truly enjoying and being in the moment. So it should be no surprise that my favorite moments were those that deviated slightly from the norm. Number 3 moment. One couple had the cutest wedding vows. They were personalized, realistic, and cute, and listening to them allowed the guests to get to know them better. At number 2, I attended this wedding with a group of people, all acquaintances from the same language exchange group. We were all sitting together. One of us sang the wedding song. Another one was the MC, and 2 girls and I were the flower girls. It was a group effort that made the otherwise boring stuff fun. After the wedding, we all headed to a bar in Itaewon to party. And at number 1, it was wedding number 3. It had a lot of special moments for me. It was a destination wedding, so 2 friends and I traveled to Busan. The first special moment was sitting in the bride's waiting room snapping pictures. This was someone who made my first birthday in Korea special, someone whom I spent my first Christmas sleepover with lamenting about our single status, and someone who helped me get the studio I am currently living in. So it was quite emotional to witness it all. The second special moment was seeing how invested the guests were. The room was buzzing with excitement and people looked genuinely happy to be there. The groom was by far the most excited I've ever seen. Last but not least, this wedding had the best entertainment. a trio of gayageum players performed. It was incredibly beautiful and enchanting. Korean wedding culture is obviously very different from what I know and like, but I can still keep an open mind, be grateful for an invitation, and enjoy the ceremony for what it is. I also understand that although some people don't like the factory, impersonal approach to Korean wedding halls, very few can afford to do things on their own, such as renting, their own venue or caterer, decoration, etc., as it will cost way more money. So if you insist on going that route, you might have to have a very small wedding with fewer people, which could also translate to fewer cash gifts being collected. So yeah, as they say, if it's not broken, why fix it? So have you been to a Korean wedding? What did you think? Any WTF moments? Let me know in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching. Take very good care of yourselves, and you will see me in the next video. Bye.